Star Trek Online has officially announced the 2025 summer event, so let's take a look at the new event ship as well as the new things coming to Risa this summer. We'll start with the ship, because we always start with the ship. This year's summer event ship is going to be the Federation Intel Holoship, which is no surprise at all, as this actually leaked onto the live server not that long ago. I didn't cover any of that when that leaked, but I know plenty of people did, so you've probably already heard about this ship. So if you want to skip ahead to the other new offerings that are coming in this year's summer event, the video is chaptered, so you can easily skip ahead below. But for those of you who haven't heard, let's get a look at this thing. If you're not familiar with the ship, this is the Federation Holoship from Star Trek Insurrection, which is a bit of a not a great mark on Federation history, if you think about it, because this is the ship that they were going to use to secretly move the Baku population off of their planet onto some other location so they can take advantage of the metaphasic radiation in the rings of that planet. Yeah, not a good look for the Federation. Yeah, the Holoship itself for Star Trek Online, they've teased something interesting with this, is that it was meant to be like a very versatile ship, and the way they've done that is that it's got 3 different modes. They're calling them holographic configurations, that you can put this into tactical, engineering, or science mode. Like with most mode changing ships, this will involve you getting various buffs or debuffs depending on which mode you are in. So let's get a look at the rest of the ship, and then we'll get a look into more detail on that. So the ship has a hull modifier of 1.25, a shield modifier of 1.15, so not super high, but not super low either. A 4-4 weapons layout, which I'm not happy about. I would always prefer a 5-3. It's got 3 device slots. The bridge officer seating is Commander Universal Intel, Lieutenant Commander Universal, America Worker, Lieutenant Commander Universal, and Lieutenant Universal. So this is meant to be a very versatile layout. This is going to be one of the few ships that has all Universal seating. It is actually missing 1 seat on here compared to most other ships, because mostly when you see 4 seats, the latter 3 would be all Lieutenant Commander, but one of them is Lieutenant. So you are losing 1 Lieutenant Commander spot in exchange for having the versatility of having all Universal seating, which some people will probably like, some people will probably not like. That's going to be up to you. The console layout is 4 tactical, 4 engineering, 3 science, and 1 universal, which is surprising that it's getting a universal console while not being America Worker ship. So they're really getting experimental with this thing. Base turn rate of 11, impulse modifier of 0.02 base turn rate of 11, impulse modifier of 0.2, and inertia rating of 75. Plus 5 to weapons, plus 5 to engine power, plus 10 to auxiliary power. Surprised they didn't just go plus 5 in everything, but that's fine. I do like the extra auxiliary power. Definitely better than that going into shield, so that's actually not bad. Console we'll get into in a bit. It's got activate Holo Matrix, so I'm guessing that's going to activate it's going to be part of the mode change. Then we got, it's also got a cloaking device because this is a full Intel ship, and plus it did have a cloaking device in the movie as well, so that makes sense. The holographic cloaking configurations, we already went over that. Tactical, engineering, science, we'll get into more detail on that later. And it has a cruiser mastery package, which is interesting because I'm pretty sure the leak said it had a battle cruiser mastery package. So that's a difference from before. That's a little surprising too, given that it has 3 device slots, which 3 device slots is what you would normally get on a battle cruiser, but they're giving it the cruiser mastery package. The other downside there is that means if this is a standard cruiser, this isn't going to be able to equip dual cannons. That's going to suck. Admiralty, for those who care, engineering 48, science 36, tactical 42, and the special is ×2 crit rating from events. Here we've got detail on the different holographic configurations. So holographic configuration tactical, while this configuration is active, this starship systems will dynamically reconfigure to fill a more offensive role. This provides a boost to flight speed and turn rate while reducing maximum hull capacity and maximum shield capacity. The ship's subsystem power settings will become plus 15 to weapon power, plus 15 to engine powers. That's interesting. So it'll basically overwrite the existing power buffs to whatever the mode change dictates to. That's kind of neat. Defeating foes while this configuration is active will increase the foes defeated counter for the tactical holographic configuration. Increasing the foes defeated counter unlocks additional abilities while in this mode. So 50 foes defeated will reduce your weapon power cost by 10%. Up to 100, you'll get a plus 2% to crit chance. Up to 150 foes defeated, you'll get a plus 10% to crit severity with your weapons, and 200 foes defeated, you'll get plus 10% to firing cycle haste. Now, my understanding is that this is meant to be, for as long as you're online, so you're effectively gonna have to grind out various buffs throughout the day in order to get these maximum buffs. So you're gonna, with the thinking that you're gonna be flying the ship throughout the day, and as you're flying it throughout the day, it'll get more and more powerful. That's an interesting mechanic. I'm not sure how into that I am, but let's look at the other configurations before I get all nitpicky about that. This provides a boost to maximum hull capacity and maximum shield capacity while reducing flight speed and turn rate. This ship's subsystem powers will become plus 10 to weapon power, plus 10 to shield power, plus 10 to aux power. So this is going to be the more slower, tanky configuration as opposed to the faster, heavier hitting mode that the tactical mode is. So with this one, defeating foes, you'll get with the defeating foe counters for engineering mode, 50 foes defeated, you'll get plus 10% to hull regeneration, 100 plus 10 to shield regeneration, 150 foes defeated, plus 35 to all damage resistance rating, and 200 foes defeated, plus 5 to maximum all power subsystems, which hopefully that stacks with isomags, otherwise that's pointless. And for holographic configuration science, obviously this is going to be the science mode. While this mode is active, this provides a boost to maximum shield capacity, flight speed, and turn rate while reducing maximum health. It increases shield capacity and does nothing for, well, okay, it does buff aux power too, but it doesn't do anything for actual like EPG builds, except for that's not gonna be good. Defeating foes while this is active, you'll gain. Okay, so the EPG and other sciencey stuff is going to come from the foes defeated counter. So 50 foes, you're going to get plus 25 to particle generator. I'm guessing that's supposed to be exotic particle generator. 100 foes plus 25 to control expertise. 150 foes plus 25 to drain expertise. Man, that's all over the place. That is 3 different build types right there. And plus 200, you get plus 10% recharge speed on your universal consoles. That's at least something helpful for science abilities, for science builds rather, because science builds are very dependent on their universal console. So that's kind of nice. 10% isn't a lot though. Oh, here we go. The foes defeated counter for each mode resets after 20 hours without defeating a foe while using this mode. So you can sustain it even after you've logged out. So you just have to keep coming back to kill more things within 20 hours. It's basically the wow, they've turned buffs into a FOMO mechanic. That's, I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, more details on the Holo Matrix. Along with the robust holographic configuration, the Federation Intel Holoship also comes with a feature that allows it to mask itself as other ships. While using this ability, the Holo Matrix field masks the ship with a hologram from a range of ships that served during the Dominion War era. The ship hologram is randomly chosen and changes depending on which holographic configuration the ship is in. The list of possible ship holograms increases depending on the foes defeated, and for each holographic configuration mode, there are 24 possible ship holograms. So if there is no configuration selected, the ship can look like either a Maquis Raider, a Katinga class battlecruiser, or a New Orleans class recon destroyer. In tactical mode, it can look like a Miradorn Raider, a Steamrunner class if you get to plus 50 counters, a Defiant class if you get to plus 100, a Mogai class Warbird if you get to 150, and an Akira class if you get to 150, a Kedge who I don't remember which one that one is, the light battlecruiser if you get to 150, and a Husnot class warship if you, so yeah, any of those you get to 150, you get those. For engineering mode, it can look like the Antares variant of the Miranda class, plus 50. It can look like a Vorcha class cruiser at plus 100. It can look like a Jem'Hadar battlecruiser, and at plus 150, it can look like a Galaxy class, a D'Deridex class warbird, a Jem'Hadar dreadnought, or a Sovereign class. And in science mode, it can look like an Oberth. If you're at plus 50, it can look like a Nebula class, the Phoenix variant specifically. If you get to 100, it can look like a Scimitar. Why is a Scimitar in science? Scimitars are not science. They're freaking dreadnoughts. They're dreadnoughts with tactical heavy seating, so they're more like juggernauts. That's weird. An Olympic class, If you get to 150, or Intrepid class, Sona Command science vessel. Of course, they'd work the Sona in there. This is Star Trek Insurrection, and a Luna class. Although all those last four, if you get to 150, interesting. But it's all just like kind of flavors. You're gonna be going not just with Federation ships, even though this is a Federation ships. You're gonna get a wide variety of ships that technically served in the Dominion War, though we never saw a Scimitar in the Dominion War, so I'm gonna call some BS on that one. But the rest, the Luna class. Luna class did not go into service until after the Dominion War. That's not correct either. The console on this thing is called Holomatrix Distortion. Applying the knowledge of holographic projections, this console can trigger a holomatrix distortion around the ship, which increases its defensive capabilities by placating nearby enemies. While enemies are placated, this allows your crew to prepare your ship against the upcoming threat. So it's a tanking console. I already don't like that. Applying temporary hull points and increasing your own damage resistance rating, further enhancing for each target, while also decreasing enemy damage resistance. Okay, so at least it decreases enemy damage resistance too. This console also provides passive bonuses to inertia rating and defense rating. That's kind of interesting. I don't think we've ever seen a console that increases the inertia rating of a ship. That's, I don't know, it's a weird thing to throw on this thing specifically, but it's interesting. It's unique is what I'll say there. But yeah, it's a tanking console. It placates stuff. It doesn't sound that great. I would if for something that's dealing with holographic technology, I would have rather them do like some sort of variation on Photonic Fleet, giving you a console that summons holographic pets that will fight alongside you. I would have liked to see that much better. I know Photonic Fleet is already a thing, but change it up a little bit, turn it into a different ability, give them like different powers or whatever. I would have preferred that over just what seems like a fairly mid tanking console. We've got the tooltip right here, though, of course, depending on what your skills and all that stuff are, your mileage will vary on how this performs. But yeah, this will give you a general idea. I don't know. It's okay. I don't really have any strong feelings toward this. The starship trait is called Ouroboros Drive. While this trait is slotted, and when activating a tactical or intel bridge officer ability, it will reduce the recharge time of cooldowns on engineering and miracle worker abilities, and vice versa. So it's a cooldown starship trait that only works on miracle worker or intel abilities. I don't like that. There are much more effective ways to lower your bridge officer cooldowns. Starship traits that only lower specific bridge officer abilities, that's useless. That's a terrible starship trait. I'm not overly impressed with this. There's some interesting stuff in here. I'm glad to see them experimenting, like the different holographic configurations. That's interesting, but the overall ship itself, I'm not super impressed with. It's got a 4-4 weapons layout. It can't equip dual cannons, so it's not going to be as good as like your typical escort, which most people flying this in tactical mode are probably going to want to fly this as an escort. It's a standard cruiser. It's going to be most optimal in engineering mode. And science, people wanting to run this as a science build, it doesn't have a secondary deflector slot, so you're not going to want to be flying this as a science build when you could just pick up something easy like the Ark Royal or the Premonition or the Chekhov. There are plenty of really great science ships available in the C store. I don't know, like I said, they're putting a bunch of stuff on here, so it feels like they're having to compromise each mode and overall making it just a inferior ship for each different build type that you would want to use in those modes. So it's an interesting ship. It's a neat gimmick. I feel like people will be amused playing around with this thing for a little bit and then immediately put it on the shelf and go back to whatever ship that they actually like to fly, because there's too much on this ship, and it's all really underwhelming. Like the bridge officer seating, it's all universal, so you're gonna have a good amount of variety there. But then the specialization is intel and miracle worker, which are really only good for energy weapon builds. And miracle worker as a secondary is also kind of too. Though of course you are getting a universal console there, a universal console slot there, so you are getting the one perk with miracle worker that we actually like. So I guess that kind of balances out that you're getting a miracle worker seat, but you are getting the miracle worker universal console slot too. So that's one thing I like about this. So, but everything else feels like it's holding back too much. But again, that's kind of understandable given that this is a free event ship. I'm also not super thrilled about the mechanic of adding damage buffs as like a FOMO tactic to get you to log in every day to keep your buffs. That seems, I don't like that. I don't really like that at all. The Holo Matrix thing, it's interesting. I hope they further refine this method, because I mean there are other ships you could like throw this type of mechanic on. Like if anyone remembers USS Incursion from Star Trek Away Team, that would absolutely be thematically appropriate for this kind of thing too. And I feel like that would be a good way to further refine this sort of mechanic if they're going to be doing this sort of thing again. But as it is, interesting ship. I feel like some people will like it and some people will be really about it, which, I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise because it is exactly what they promised when they teased it before. Like I said, they're experimenting and that's a good thing. And at least it's, it's, if you don't like it, then, just get it as the free ship and put it on the shelf and it'll be a decent Admiralty card, at least, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, let's take a look at the other offerings from the summer event. Oh, we should also go over when this is going to be starting. So the summer event is going to be starting up on tomorrow, July 1st, which, again, we're still in the era of announcing things right up until the last minute. At least they announced it the day before instead of the day of like they have been lately. So I guess that's small consolation, but still, I wish they'd stop doing that. Anyway, the summer event, it'll be starting on July 1st, which is tomorrow, and be running through July 30th on all 3 platforms. So this will be running at the same time on PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Obviously, the grand prize we just went over is the Federation Intel Holoship. But let's go over to the other stuff. In addition to the grand prize, in the summer store, vendors allowing you to trade with low hot favors. You'll get you can get the Frontier Doctor costume, which is modeled after Dr. McCoy's costume that you see him when he first shows up on the Enterprise in the original Star Trek The Motion Picture. We've been doing very TMP heavy themed stuff lately, so I'm guessing that is not going to change here. We've got sunscreen as a costume option, which we saw Lieutenant Barclay doing that in an episode of Voyager once, so I guess you can use that as a callback to that. So you really want sunscreen, always a good option to have. Trust me, as someone who is super pale, sunscreen is your friend, and I guess that can now apply to your ship's captain as well. Silly, but it's the summer event. It's time to be a little silly. We're getting a new power board and a new floater, the prismatic power board and floater. I like the look of the rainbow color scheme. It's very reminiscent of like the movie poster for the motion picture. I'm guessing that was like the big inspiration there. I really like that. Yeah, that looks cool. But we're also getting another floater as well. They're calling this one the Classic Thruster Pack, which I kind of like the idea of doing this one. It's meant to be this is meant to be the thruster pack that Spock used in the original movie when he leaves the Enterprise and flies inside V'ger. This is the thruster pack he had strapped on his back. So it's kind of cool that they're moving away from just repainting this model over and over again and making floaters, and hopefully I hope they do this with like the power boards at some point too in the future, of making something that's more immersive to what we've seen in the movies. I like that. I'm definitely gonna want to pick up one of these for my 23rd century character. We're also getting some new Rising and Universal kit modules. First off is the Rapid Lithic Formation, which is an Earth Elemental kit, because apparently we live in the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender, which I am all for. Catch your foes by surprise by springing fully formed stalagmites under their feet. This kit module can deal kinetic damage to enemies in a 5-meter radius from the main target. It also has a 20% chance of knocking those affected into the air. That's kind of neat. Going to depend on how much kinetic damage that deals, but that's kind of a neat idea. Mineral Quicksand. This is another Earth Elemental kit. Make the ground where your foes stand their worst enemy. This kit module will modify the chemical structure of a 15-meter area of ground right under the target's position, dealing damage and slowing them every second, maximum of 5 stacks. Once at max, the target will be rooted in place for 10 seconds, but all the mineral oil will be highly flammable. Using directed energy weapons on rooted targets will ignite them for 10 seconds. That's interesting, but like, there's so much stuff that's requires time to build up. Ground combat's pretty fast paced, so I doubt most players, especially players who are more experienced and have more high-end stuff, are going to be getting much use out of the full effect of this kit module, because like I said, ground combat's just so quick. It's going to be like, what is it, like 20 seconds at most to get all this stuff to kick off at once. It takes too long. And the last one, wrist-mounted acid spray, air elemental kit. Hold the power of Risian terraforming in your wrist. Inside this wrist-mounted module are all the necessary elements to aerosolizing a very potent acid mix that will deal toxic damage for 10 seconds to any foe unfortunate enough to be affected by its spray. They will also receive plus 10% damage, maximum of 5 stacks, and be confused for 10 seconds. So it's giving the opponent a damage buff while confusing them? I guess that makes sense, because you're confusing them. They'll attack targets that are friendly to them, and that damage will be buffed because they'll be attacking. So, okay, I kind of see the logic there. You just got to hope that you're not fighting something that can overcome confuse effects, which I don't know if there are any. I don't actually remember, but interesting kit module. Honestly, there's nothing here I would be like super eager to get my hands on. But it's going to depend on just how well these things perform. The wrist-mounted acid spray sounds interesting, but I'm not super eager. The rapid lithic formation probably sounds like the most useful one, but it's also going to depend on just how much kinetic damage that deals. And we're also getting some new emotes. First off, we're getting the calisthenics emote, which again, calisthenics, clearly modeled after a particular scene with Beverly Crusher and Counselor Troy, I believe. And speaking of Beverly Crusher, we're also getting a tap dancing emote. Apparently this one loops indefinitely, so you can just leave it on and just keep on tap dancing. And we're getting the baseball wave. So you can line up a bunch of people and do the wave. Good luck coordinating that, though. So yeah, that is all the stuff coming with this year's summer event, which is going live tomorrow on July 1st and will be live through July 30th on all 3 platforms. The extra stuff here, this is all amusements, like, the Frontier Doctor. I'm sure plenty of people will be amused by the very 70s look of this outfit. The sunscreen is just silly. The new floater and the new floaters and the power board, I like those. I love the TMP element on those. Kit modules, we'll see how those perform. The emotes, I'm not super crazy about, but they're neat. They're fun callbacks to the show. Well, except the baseball wave. I don't think that was ever in the show, but it's fun callback to baseball, which, I mean, they always work baseball into the summer event somehow. The Holoship, however, I'm not super impressed with. Like I said, there's some interesting stuff on here. I just don't think it, altogether, it doesn't add up to anything I'm super excited to play. So yeah, that'll be something that I grind all that for, and then immediately to put it on the shelf. That's probably how that's going to go. So anyway, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Are you into the Holoship or any of the other offerings that are going to be available for this year's summer event? Let me know down below in the comments. And while you're down there, like, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. If you'd like to further support the channel, hit that join button or the subscribe plus button, whatever YouTube's calling it now. Become a channel member, get some extra channel perks, or check out the merch store down below, or check out any of the affiliate links in the pinned comment. If you're ever shopping on the Epic Game Store, be sure to use my content creator code STU1701. Any of these things really help me out, and I really do appreciate it. Either way, though, thank you so much for watching. My name's Stu, and I will see you guys next time.